Hi everyone, it's Chris. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to make simple reusable flannel tissues or handkerchiefs. I know they went out of style quite a while ago, but I don't like using the paper because you end up with that big red ring around your nose because it's scratchy and hard no matter how expensive the paper is and the lotion and all the other stuff they put in it. You always end up with that sore spot when you're sick. So I ended up trying out and making my own. They came out a lot better than I expected them to, and I fell in love with things a few years ago, and I do make them a lot. I just downcycled my last batch, so I am going to be doing another batch of tissues. What you're going to need for this project is some flannel. I have two different pieces here. It doesn't matter if it matches or not. This was put together like this for my son. He did a project. And to start, I always put the pretty sides touching, so you have your backing here and your backing on the outside, and in the middle you have your pretty sides. I do fold this over quite a bit, and then I will use a ruler and my, I guess, rotary cutter. You could use scissors if you needed to. I have multiple sizes of quilter's rulers. This one has glue on it. That's what the little images are. I bought it that way from the thrift shop. It doesn't bother me. I can still use it because I mainly just use it when I'm doing big squares. But I actually like the 9.5. So what I'll do, I'm going to move the camera down and show you. I'll put it down. I will go ahead and cut across and cut down, and then you see that this doesn't look like it's big enough, but when it comes out, because of just the size of this, it ends up coming out the right size, ended up being, this is my cut here. I'm not going to show you the sewing this time, mainly because it's really repetitive. Now, when you do it this way, it's ready to sew. If you have prints, make sure the prints are going the right way. They can go the opposite way if you wanted them to. It doesn't matter. But that's how you're going to actually start. What I did was I took and did just a plain basic straight stitch all the way around. In the middle of one side, I left a gap big enough for 4 fingers to go in. You need to make sure you can fit all 4 of your fingers in that gap. That's how you're going to know it's big enough to do the pulling. The next thing you're going to need is a tiny pair of scissors, or any pair of scissors you have. This just happens to be the ones I have today. You see how I did the corners here? That's just a simple pivot. I did backstitch both corners just because I always do. It's a habit, and I always end up doing it. What I did was, after I sewed my 1/4 inch seam, you can do bigger if you want, I'm going to go around, cut out not quite to the stitch line, but as close to it as I can get without snipping it. Now I have it pretty much where I need it for the biggest step of this, which is turning it. To turn it, I pick whichever side. I always end up being off, so whichever side's the farthest from there, I will put a finger in, go all the way down to that corner, and I pinch it. That means with my forefinger and my thumb, I will pinch it, holding it nice and tight. I end up pulling it all the way out, pushing my thumb through. Now I will pull that little bit there. Now on that same side, I'm going to go down to this corner here, and I'm going to repeat the process. And believe it or not, this works better than doing those point turners and the scissor tip trick. They never work as well as pinching and pulling. Now that I have it pulled, I have 2 out. Now I still have the 2 on the next side. I will go to this top corner. Again, pinch, pull, and it always ends up pushing nice, perfect corners out. And then I will go in and do the last side. And you're going to say, well, that's all bunchy. Well, if you have 4 fingers worth of room in there, it won't be that bad. And you see it kind of wrinkled on me, and then all I had to do was push. Now, at this point, all you got to do is pull your corners. I will take 2 corners and go pull them taut, next 2, and I go all the way around doing that. By the time I do it all the way around, it comes out nice and flat. If you wanted to iron, you can. I never find the need to iron this point, but you do have this little opening. What I did on the opening was, you see it naturally just wants to curl. I will start right here when I start sewing, and I will just hold it down nice and tight as I go around, all the way around actually. Now, let's see if I can find the right one. What I do when I go around, you can do a straight stitch. I use a serpentine stitch. My machine is capable. You can do a really wide zigzag stitch if you wanted. And I just go straight around all the way, all 4. This was the opening on this one. And you can see it shuts it nice and tight, and you can't even get your fingers into them once they're done. It just seals them up perfectly. Now, a lot of you say, oh, okay, you're done. Well, when you throw it through your washer, this is going to happen. Every single time. You're going to get them out, and they're going to be poofy and bunchy, just like that. That is a big issue if you make quilts as well, and you don't do the quilting part, which is the sewing. You can piece a quilt together, but the quilting is actually sewing it. Now, what I did to fix that is something very itty bitty and tiny, and you can barely see it on this fabric because I picked a white spot and I was using a light color thread. But on the back you can see it. I took one little decorative stitch. Mine happens to be a little star pattern. You can use hearts, flowers, whatever your decorative stitch is on your machine. If you don't have one, just do a little cross or X or something just in the middle. A lot of people will tell you go corner to corner and sew. That's a waste of time and a waste of thread. Doing it this way, even if I try to pull it out like this, it doesn't pull out enough to matter, and it goes right back flat even if I do pull it. I pull it like that and it just wants to go flat because of that one tiny itty bitty stitch. So these are really simple to make. They're totally worth making. I mean, when I bought this fabric, it was on sale for $3.50 a yard, and a yard you can get about, I want to say 15 to 18, depending on how accurate your cutting is and your sizing. For me, I think I got about, with a 9.5, I got, I want to say about 20 out of mine, because I didn't care about the one that's like this, where it's just not quite my 9.5. It's not quite there, and it's not quite straight, but that's okay. It doesn't bother me. And then I have the ones that I used the template, and they ended up just a little bigger, but they ended up all coming out just fine. And again, I used a hidden little stitch in the middle somewhere whereabouts in order to close them up. Now, this is actually a prelude to another video, and that's going to be on how to take flannel clothing and upcycle them. And this is just one of the little things you can do with the flannel once you get it cut out. And like I said, this is a simple, easy project. I think one of these takes about 10 to 15 minutes to make. It takes just a little longer because I did the serpentine stitch on all of them. They do not curl that much. What you're seeing here with the curling is just how I have it laid on this fabric, because they do want to stay closed. Once you get them turned like this, they look puffy. They look quite a bit puffy. I never ironed it. All I did was that stitch. Once you do the stitch, it flattens the whole piece out. So you don't need to iron. You do need to pre-wash. Pre-washing is one of those things you just have to do. And this is just from the end cuts. And you can do just what I did. A little snip and poof, it's gone. So I hope you enjoyed the quick little tutorial. Come over to my Facebook page if you're interested in these products. Message me on Facebook and we can see about what fabrics I have available at the time, and I would be more than happy to make them for you.